Hello and welcome to the tabletop exercise for the Peer Threat Model Review program. If you're not familiar with this, I would recommend take a look at the GitHub site for further instructions. This section is definitely dedicated just for people that have actually completed most of the material and are ready to actually go through the tabletop exercise. So what does the tabletop exercise look like? Let's take a quick look at some of the goals. Here it's an opportunity to take what you've learned throughout the program and actually to spot threats, asking the right questions. And as you'll see, this presentation will refer to provided information that we have coming up. So it will all tie back to threat models that are provided on the site, and additionally with a bunch of questions and other elements and artifacts that you will need to be able to be successful. So before you begin, I think it's important for you to make sure that you have a good understanding of what are the questions to ask. There's a questionnaire that's provided that provides you some basic foundational elements that should be addressed before you begin a threat model review. A triggers checklist is provided, which is very Azure specific, but can be applied from the principles of building out these similar types of triggers checklists for any cloud provider. Now, as you see, this is a very cloud-centric solution throughout this training, and that is by design. It really does try to help people that are trying to adopt cloud solutions in their environment. Um, it's time at this point to then pull open that threat model and review it. It's also an opportunity to ask if the designers that came to this discussion whether they've done prior reviews. And I think I'll emphasize, and you'll see it throughout different types of programs, rinse and repeat, right? A threat model isn't a one-time effort. It should be something that you do at least once a year to make sure to give yourself some level of confidence that what you have running and what you're building will meet all requirements, regulatory and just general security issue requirements. Additionally, this is an opportunity to pull open your SIM. If there's a different team that's responsible for detection of issues, take a look at past events, take a look at past activity. This should influence your threat model process only because it gives you insight of some potential weaknesses. There's no question, there's more controls that you could ever try to actually review during your threat model design, the threat model review. The intent again is to try to have that conversation and unearth potential risks. Will you catch every single thing during this one time? It's only an hour in most circumstances, which is one of the things that we see frequently is to do it for 1 hour. Is that enough? Probably not. But you know what? It's an opportunity for you to keep revisiting this. As attackers get more sophisticated, your defenses need to also become more sophisticated. Static design is not sufficient. And I think for organizations that think that once you've built it, it's good enough, that is not a great perspective to take because again, attackers and the attack landscape is changing. So you have to adapt to it as well. And it's certainly a great place to have that discussion during these design reviews and invite potentially your leadership to participate. At least just have some insight as to what happens. So it's time now to schedule your review. Make sure that all the stakeholders are available. Make sure everybody that you need to have involved is there. So for this tabletop exercise, we provide a sample tabletop review. It is designed to be something for conversation. And keep in mind that there are some deficiencies that are deliberately been introduced into here. Why? Mainly because it's an opportunity to see if you can exercise your ability to spot the problems and have those conversations. So as we go into that, now it's what are you going to do during the review? What key things? One is let your developer explain the process, explain the design. So in this one, since you're going to be doing a tabletop exercise, we're going to say that this is a web service that was created for a particular scenario here where we have browsers connecting to this web service. We have an AAD environment, an Entra identity that has authenticated the browser connection. And we have a web processor that's taking metadata from the browser, processing it for some internal activity. There's no PII or no sensitive data that's being transmitted. However, all that update information is being stored inside a database that we have called status update database. And then the key vault here, what we're going to do is we're going to use it to be able to so-called unlock and allow the transactions to occur. So that is pretty much the information me as a designer for those folks that are going to be going through this exercise would provide. So use that information to proceed and start doing the analysis. Here's a chance for you to discuss concerns that you may have found from prior reviews or during the preliminary discussion. Use Stride and ask questions on the design. Use the triggers checklist, which is also provided on the site. So I'd recommend you download that and take a look at each one of the opportunities on how to phrase and potentially place questions to the designers to kind of make them think about it. Here, since it's tabletop, you're going to be working with yourself, but you can take a look at some information that we've provided in some questions and answers that are already pre-formatted also on the site. So just go ahead to the GitHub site, and what you'll want to do is take a look at inside of the articles folder are a tabletop discussion page, and that tabletop discussion page has questions and answers to providing you that conversational opportunity to go through a discussion. Think about what needs to be corrected. So again, this is the opportunity to share with the designing team what should they be fixing. Discuss mitigations, and if you can't mitigate, discuss opportunities for monitoring. At a minimum, if there's a concern, you should at least be in a position to say, well, we need to monitor that. And then the post review. So there are things that may not be resolved, and it's important to kind of think about the fact that you need to log those repair issues, log the items in whatever, if you have an internal system, or again, we provided a sample XLS and Power BI, Excel worksheet and Power BI for tracking threat models and tracking fix items. So again, there just as a sample, just to kind of give you an idea of how you could actually collect it. Again, all that information is on the site for you to use as an example. So schedule follow-up meetings if there's any things that wasn't resolved or any concerns that you think that need additional attention. And then here we're at that stage where now there may be some things that there are some risks to design that you as a company just need to accept. Make sure your leadership is okay with that. And if they are, then again, it's like that at that point, it's a business decision, potentially not as much of a security discussion anymore. These are certainly things to consider and things that you will need to weigh with your leadership within your organization. Catalog the review, store the threat model, and prepare to be in a position to try to do these annually. It is strongly recommended to do annual reviews. Again, you can find things that you may have missed the first time. And also, the threat landscape is changing. So it is recommended to do the review of the same environment and bring up new discussions. Look at the prior issues. Look at your SEM, potentially that there were some issues that came up there too. All of these things become very impactful for a good discussion and decision process. And if you're not aware, regulatory bodies have instituted that threat modeling is actually an essential part of SDL, and you'll see that show up in several regulatory bodies around the world that you can actually refer to try to encourage your leadership to understand that these annual reviews are important. All right, that's it for this presentation. It's your turn. Give it a shot. We have provided the threat model file. We provided the questions and answers. All you have to do is watch this video. I gave you a little bit of a synopsis on how the solution actually works, and walk through the questions. See if the answers that are provided are the ones that you were thinking about as you were going through that too. If it's just something you do by yourself, or if you do this with a team member, it's an opportunity for you to actually have that conversation. Great. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck.